Thanks, Wolf. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being with us. We have a very busy news night tonight. Our top story coverage of the crisis in the Middle East, and we start off with some breaking news. Back to our top story coverage now. The bloody fighting in Lebanon and Israel has a lot of American evangelical Christians wondering whether it is a sign foretelling the end times. To those who aren't evangelicals, that may sound a little bit out there, but according to a CNN Harris Interactive poll back in 2002, almost 60% of Americans think that the end of the world as predicted in the Bible's book of Revelation will happen. And 17% believe it will happen during their lifetimes. Now, this belief goes back centuries, countless times. Some Christians interpreted calamities as signs that the world was about to end. Of course, the world went on and on and on. And tonight, Faith and Values correspondent Delia Gallagher is here because the Mideast fighting has many preachers and followers saying that the end is near again. Welcome.
I know it sounds a little far-fetched, Paula, but the fact is I've talked to a lot of believers who say the events that we are seeing were talked about in the Bible and do suggest that perhaps the end is imminent. So I've talked to these people and I want to show you a little bit of what they have to say. Let's take a look. They say the end of the world is coming.
As far as I can tell, we are at the very end, and we need to prepare ourselves for that according to the Word of God.
They see the current conflict in the Middle East, with missiles falling near Megiddo in Israel, the biblical site of Armageddon, as a sign that the Bible's prophecies of the final days and the return of Jesus are coming true.
See, the Bible tells us that a war is coming, which will kill 1/3 of mankind.
And this Pentecostal church in Texas is far from the only hotspot of prophetic rhetoric.
Oh, sure, it's going to be nuclear. You can't kill 2 billion people without going nuclear.
You better be watching for him to come. You better be ready.
God is crying out.
In recent days, some evangelical broadcasts have been abuzz with talk of the end times.
You could get raptured out of this building before I get through finished preaching. We are that close to the coming of the Son of Man.
So are we really on the road to Armageddon? Middle East expert and writer of end-time fiction Joel Rosenberg has few doubts the rapture is on the way.
You have the rapture, then the rise of the Antichrist, and then a terrible period of 7 years of terrible war and famine and plague. This is known as the tribulation. And it's at the end of the tribulation that this massive attack on Israel, known as Armageddon, will happen, and then the second coming of Jesus.
All right, Delia, we need your help. You just rolled through an awful lot of terms. We went from rapture to the Antichrist to tribulation. Right. Explain this to us.
Okay, so we're going to go through each of these terms so that we get them down, because we can't talk about this topic until we know what they are talking about. We put up a couple of graphics, so that's going to help the audience follow along for a moment. So
it's going to help all of us.
Yes. So first of all, with the rapture is this idea, which, by the way, is not in the Bible specifically, but it is this period of time when they say Christians are going to be taken up into heaven and waiting there while all of this tribulation goes on earth, as it were. They say it can happen at any time. That's why you hear a lot of the preachers saying, you better be prepared because you're going to be raptured at any time when you least expect it. That's the idea of the rapture. Then the tribulation is when this period of 7 years, they say, it's going to be wars and trials on earth. We're not in it yet, according to them, but you will hear them talking about pre-tribulation and post-tribulation. This is the time when the Antichrist, whomever he or she may be, this figure, they say, is going to come to power, and all of the countries are going to align behind this Antichrist, leading to Armageddon, this big war. The term is taken from Mount Megiddo in Israel. It's an actual place in the Bible. And in the Bible it says that on this mountain there will be, the kings will gather. From that they've decided there's going to be this huge battle of good and evil. And at that time, at Armageddon, the world as we know it, they say, will be destroyed. And they say as we know it because that there follows a 1,000-year period of peace. And that is a period when those Christians who have been raptured come back down to earth with Jesus, and a 1,000-year period of peace follows. So they say that the world doesn't actually end, that they actually have this wonderful time of peace. Now, you know, the fact is that these periods of rapture and tribulation and so on are also preceded by signs. And they say that some of these signs we are already seeing right now. So let's take a look.
There's a lot of signs that suggest to us right now that we're living in the last days. Jesus was very clear. You're looking for wars, rumors of wars, revolutions, famines.
And those who believe in end-time prophecy also say, for more proof that we're in the last days, consider the Real ID Act. It's a post-9/11 law that calls for all Americans to have a federally issued identification card by May of 2008. But what you may not know is that by signing the legislation, some Armageddon believers say President Bush fulfilled a biblical prophecy, taking the world a step closer to the end times. They believe that assigning every American an identification number is a fulfillment of Revelation 13 that reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name."
We believe this is setting up the mechanism, the prophesied mechanism of the mark of the beast that was mentioned in Revelation 13 2,000 years ago.
Followers say if you need more proof that we're headed for the final countdown, just consider some recent natural disasters.
The Bible talks about tsunamis. It talks about the waves in the sea roaring. It talks about a dramatic increase in earthquakes.
We believe this is a fulfillment of this prophecy that in the last days there will be many earthquakes in many places.
While there's no scientific evidence to support a dramatic increase in the number of earthquakes, believers also make accusations of a military alliance they say will play a role in the coming of the end times.
Russia and Iran and their Islamic allies will attack Israel, but Israel will not defend itself using military weapons. God is going to supernaturally intervene. We're talking about fire from heaven. We're talking about a massive earthquake. We're talking about disease spreading. It will involve a supernatural judgment that the whole world will watch on CNN.
And I think it's important to say, Paula, that, not all Christians subscribe to the idea of rapture or even Armageddon. But as you can see, for many people, it is a source of endless fascination.
And passion as
Yes.
well. Delia Galler, thanks so much. We're going to take a short break and continue now in just a minute or so.